WhiskyJason here, whiskey from the viewpoint of an American over here in Germany, tasting rare and exotic whiskeys. In this case, it's true. This is Fairy Cask, number 4, port cask finished Irish single grain whiskey. And it's bottled at 62.5 ABV, 70 euros. It's so new, there is not a whiskey based number yet. I just received it this morning in the mail. Now, the person who does this is a good friend of mine. Her name is Mareike Spitzer. She is the proprietary and owner and also the operator of www.irish-whiskies.de for Germany. And this is her third one. She loves these golden labels. They're very, very difficult to show in the camera, but she loves them. It's even more difficult to actually photograph them. So what do we have here? We have a whiskey that is single grain. So that means it is not a blended whiskey. It is not a single pot still whiskey from Ireland. It is not a single malt from Ireland. It is a single grain. Grain means a continuous still. Grain means probably not then malted barley. So it's probably either wheat or corn with a little bit of corn with a little bit of barley maybe thrown in there. Now, we have a 7-year aging process and a first fill ex-bourbon cask and a further 3 years finishing in a port cask. Now, the thing that I really don't get with this bottle is we only have 102 bottles. I have, for example, bottle number 28 from 120, not 102, 120. Now, 120 means either this was a cask share, so she only had part of the cask, or her port cask might have just been a resized cask. So it may have only been a 100-liter port cask. So what we do sometimes is we go to a cooperage and say, hey, here's my sherry butt, here's my port pipe or whatever, and could you please make it smaller? Now, that costs money. You have to tear it apart, saw it, rebuild it, and so on. But what happens is the reaction time with the wood, the surface to liquid ratio is then much smaller, or the ratio is much larger. There's more surface contact, and so the whiskey actually ages quicker. So I've actually been looking also at some of these rebuilt smaller casks. Some people call them octave casks. Some other distilleries then call them a quarter cask, and some actually call them like a blood tub. Depends on the size there. So I've worked with distilleries that have 30-liter casks, 50-liter casks, 70-liter casks, 100-liter casks, 125-liter casks, 200 standard American barrel, 225 barrique, 250 would be then a hogshead, and then we go up basically the butts, and you can all the way go up to a ton, TUN, which is up to over 700 liters sometimes, but if it's used in whiskey, the maximum would be 700. So those are the different types of barrel sizes. So I think she had a smaller barrel size here. All right, what am I going to compare it to? I'm going to compare it to a different bottle that she did. This is from 2020. This is her special edition for the Irish whiskey Wochenende. Wochenende in German means weekend. So every year she has now done for the last 2 years, and this year, 2022, will be the same. She actually invites to a virtual meeting with all her German customers that want to, and they actually participate in this online festival, a weekend. So she brings all the different distillers, all the different whiskey producers from Ireland, basically virtually to Germany. We can watch, talk, interact, and have a tasting set. And that's a beautiful, fabulous, a magnificent thing where I've learned a lot from her and from the people there. So this is her special bottling for 2020, and it is a single grain whiskey. It's from a virgin oak cask and a recharred cask. This is, for me, Jameson Black on steroids. This is 63.9%. So this is one of 228. Makes sense. 228 is basically the size of a American Standard barrel here. This is half. So where did what happened to the other part there? So I do have a little bit left from my German video, so we're going to continue with this one because 63.9% versus 62.5% is a little bit of alcohol here. All right, very good. Now the very, very first thing I get on my nose are red currants. Red currants not yet ripe red currants. I don't know if you've ever seen this bottle before. It's called Ballyhoo. This is from a new Irish distillery, Connacht. I actually own a cask at Connacht. I hope to go visit them in June of this year. Finally, also say hi to my cask. And Connacht actually produce, I think, from America as well as for Europe, this Ballyhoo. Ballyhoo is a single grain. And this is, it's Irish whiskey. Sorry, it's not single grain. It's Irish whiskey, mainly single grain, a little bit of malt in here. And this was finished in a port cask. It smells exactly the same. 40%, much weaker. 35 euros over here, 70 euros. So I get one of these for, I get two of these for one of these. So you have to look at that. This originally cost only 46 euros. This was a bargain at under 50 euros in my opinion. All right, so I get that red currant, but very, very unripe. I do get a little bit of a herbal moment, a little bit of that ricola, a little bit of cough drop moment, and a tiny little bit of plums going on here. It's interesting. And what is very, very interesting, the 62.5% don't burn. So it's very well done. Continual still, not a pot still. Well done. All right, let's try it. Cheers. I do get a little bit of a chemical type of acetone type of moment going on here. Some people call it the airplane glue experience. Some people, and German people, get it a lot when they taste the bourbon, lower shelf bourbon for the first time. It's like, I get airplane glue, you know, the airplane, airplane model glue. And this is what I'm getting here a little bit. It has a little bit of a chemically moment. Now, the tart, not yet perfectly ripe red cranberry is going on here. Now, over here in Germany, we actually have a little pastry. It's very, very nice. It's like a flattened donut. Imagine you had waffle, basically, and you made like a donut type of thing out of there. And you put a lot of cranberries on there, and you put a little bit of icing on top of that. And you can eat it as a pastry. Very nice, but tart. And that's what I'm getting. I'm getting that vanilla icing. I'm getting that not yet perfectly. I'm getting those tart cranberries. And I'm getting a little bit of that donut batter going on in there. Interesting. Mouthfeel, it has a longer finish here. And it's fruity, it's vanilla, and not bad. This is not my wheelhouse, though. This is not really what I prefer. This is not really what I love. This is a C- whiskey, in my opinion. Now, there is that uniqueness factor. This is one of 120 bottles available in Germany only. It is a 10-year-old single grain. Where did the grain come from? Did it come from Great Northern? Don't think so. They have not been distilling for 10 years, so that can't be there. I assume, I'm making an ass of you and me, assume that this is probably going to be Cooley juice. I do not think that it is from West Cork. I don't think they've been actually making enough single grain there to actually sell it to third parties, especially not 10 years ago, way back when here in 2011. And I really, really don't think that in Middleton at the Irish Distillers that they would provide casks for other people that much. Could be wrong. I do know Mareike Spitzer here from www.irish-whiskies.de has a good connection to John Teeling, and I think he maybe offered her one of these casks, finished it in a rebuilt, smaller port cask, and then she could present it as one of her bottlings. Oh, by the way, she has two independent labels. One of them is called Black Rock. Black Rock is the natural, unadulterated, cask strength version of Irish whiskey. Black Rock, just like the coasts of Ireland, sometimes very rough and rugged. And she has her second one, is called the Fairy Cask. If you look at this, some people have said, oh, that looks almost like Mareike on this cask here. You can almost see the cask here. She's flying through the air like a little bit of a witch. Mareike doesn't have that long of hair, but maybe that could have been her. and that's hers, but they're all finished. And so she created a new independent labeling, Fairy Casks, just for her finished whiskeys here. All right, so that's that. I'm going to give this for the uniqueness factor a B. I'm going to give it for the taste factor a C minus, and I'm going to give it for the value for money a D plus. Which means if you're a fan of Irish whiskey and you see this bottle and you want to try it and you really go, hey, I have everything else Mareike's put on the market, I want this as well, buy it. If you go, hey, I want to try a single grain with a port cask finish, I've never had that before, I would actually recommend that you look for something called Ballyhoo. It's not single grain, but it is a blended, very strong, high percentage of grain in there. First question of the day is, what is your favorite single grain from Ireland? Second question of the day, what is your favorite product from Ireland that's port cask matured? And the third question of the day is, do you know of any Irish whiskies in cask strength that are single grain that have a port cask finish? I don't. And that's what makes this so unique. Now, on the other hand, this was limited over here to 228 bottles. I have 3 of them. I've shared one, I've emptied half of one and shared the other half, and this is what's left of this one. This I love. As I said, Jameson Black on steroids. I just love this. It's almost like a cask strength bourbon with wood factored in there. Very, very nice. And then the finish. Aha. Here, tart cranberries, tart red. Here, goodness, sweetness, wood, oak, vanilla, butterscotch. 2 different worlds, 63.9%, 62.5%. 70 euros, less than 50 euros. 10-year-old single grain. This was a 3-year-old single grain, and yet I prefer this so much better. Thank you very much for watching. Unique, rare, exotic whiskeys here with WhiskyJason. Things you'll never see from the independent bottler over here in Germany, bottling Irish whiskey for us. All the best. See you soon. Don't forget to answer the questions. And if you don't have any single grains, any port whiskeys from Ireland, then tell me something you like from someplace in the world with a port finish. Bye-bye.